Hello, dear friends. Welcome to the show. My name is Jack Chow with G&E TV on the East West Show. For quite a few times, we tried to cover some historical stories that we thought we do not know that much, or not everybody knows, especially those young people. So these days, talking about the United States and China, U.S.-China relationship, we are talking about nowadays. Yet, if you look back in a retrospective mind, you will find out the U.S.-China relationship, U.S.-China alliance started very early as 1940s of the last century.
Yep.
Right. Okay. There is one incident that we would like to once again bring to everybody's attention, everybody's awareness, especially the young people. These young people of nowadays, the gadget people. That's what I call them. It is quite necessary to know that we started this U.S.-China relationship with the blood and the life.
Yes.
Right? When I say blood and life, I mean lots of blood was shed and lots of life were sacrificed. Right. So join me in the review of the historical incident is Mark Liu. He is the founder and the CEO of the U.S. Memorial Committee for Nanking Massacre Victims.
Yes.
So welcome, Mark, to the show.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. So we're very happy that we can once again touch a little bit about history.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mark Liu is an individual that I not only take as a friend, but as an idol that I adore. I do adore seriously from the bottom of my heart.
So, thank you.
Because we have one philosophy: without the learning from history, you will never know what future will hold for you.
If you forgot it, it could repeat again.
It could repeat again.
It could
right?
repeat the history.
So for this incident, we're talking about Flying Tiger. All right. The Flying Tiger story. There's lots of booklets about it, but yet there's no major hit like in the form of film or something about it. There might be some documentaries, but the word Flying Tiger is a glorious word, glorious team, glorious fleet that was sent by the United States to bomb Japan in exchange of their bombing to our Pearl Harbor in 1941 on a December 7th day, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then the bombing started 1942, April, somewhere somehow in April.
Think, start from General Doolittle.
Yeah. So for that, I would like to invite Mark Liu to bring us back to the story. I believe that you know much better about the story than us.
Well, I shouldn't say, and I couldn't say I know much better than you. I think you know as much as I know. But somehow, if you want, you would like to have me to introduce yourself, like to mention about
we would
Dr.
like to bring the young people. Yes.
Because General Doolittle, his story, not so famous, not so well known, but since Pearl Harbor, American government have a decision that they want bomb back to the Japan.
As retaliation.
Yes, because it shows a sort of power that we can do the same. At that time, we know that aircraft cannot have such endurance, flying for 1,000 miles. It got to be on the aircraft, even with the aircraft carrier, they can only close to Japan to a certain distance. So those aircraft, the bomber, with all the heavy bombs, they can only have not a round trip, but a single trip. They fly to Tokyo and bombed the Tokyo city. Then they tried their best to another direction, to China. You know, those were the days they have a jacket, the leather jacket with the words China, U.S. together and the rescue American pilots. Quite a few of them, after they bombed the Tokyo, it doesn't do too much material damage, but morally, the Japanese was shocked.
Yeah,
they've been
so
bombed by
they were so
the U.S. Air Force.
so shocked.
So shocked. And then the aircraft, the bomber, left the Tokyo. They flew to China. They don't have enough fuel, so they most I should do some study, but I today since I didn't really prepare for General Doolittle's story. So according to my impression, the crew were about 84 or 80, around 80 crew.
I see.
So each plane got 6 crews. So
I see.
let me see.
You're talking
it's
about
around maybe 16 or
12 to 16,
yes,
14
the
something.
14. They launched to China, mostly to the countryside. They've been rescued by the Chinese people, the guerrilla.
Okay. Yeah.
They tried their best to send them to those were the days, you know, to Sichuan,
Yeah,
to the
some were wounded,
control,
were badly wounded, yes.
But after they almost, I think they rescued more than 60 some American Air Force people. The others, a few being captured, a few even landed to the northeast, so being later on
I see.
being captured by the Soviet government. And the most of them, more than half, 60 some, 60 plus, were rescued by the Chinese farmers and the guerrillas.
I see.
All the way they covered and sent them back to the Chinese controlled area. A few of them even stayed there until the end of the World War II. But surely, you know, since the bombers launched in China's Japanese occupied territory, so Japanese sent a troop to search for those pilots. They find the aircraft, but they couldn't find the people. They couldn't find the Air Force. The pilots. So they forced the Chinese farmers to hand out those Americans. And those farmers, they won't and they couldn't. So the Japanese brutally became, they called it Qingshang, clear the whole territory, kill the all, burn all, and
Genocide.
genocide. According to General Doolittle's granddaughter, she mentioned it in quite a few speeches. More than 200,000 people being killed because of this mission, the rescue. Later on, maybe we should do some research and make sure about each number is correct. Because today, this morning, I was thinking about Flying Tiger. But I think General Doolittle's team, their mission, their task is even earlier than General Chennault.
So, I mean, Colonel Doolittle was the leader was the commander of the Flying Tiger team, right?
Yes. Doolittle's mission is just to bomb Tokyo. And the Flying Tiger's leader is General Chennault. In China, we call him Chennade. So Doolittle is the leader of the mission, the task for Tokyo bombing, to bomb the Tokyo.
But after bombing Tokyo, they end up in China, right?
They landed in China and then sent back to U.S. Then Flying Tiger is somehow organized by the volunteers of American people and led by General, I think here's a colonel, but mostly we say general. Maybe he was promoted later, Chennault. His team, Flying Tiger, was volunteered by American Air Force the personnel.
I see.
And their mission is mostly, you know, since China got no enough material supply for the military force, so import from, or say shipped from USA with the Burma Highway. But after India and Burma being occupied by Japan, China is so isolated. So the Flying Tiger was organized, and then they flew over from India, from the
see.
port, even farther, through Burma, and then they called the hump, Tuofeng, and the mountain Himalaya, directly to
In other words, you're
Sichuan, to
saying
China.
that Colonel Doolittle instant or team or fleet is separate from Flying
Tiger.
Tigers, right?
Yeah.
There are two different missions.
Yep, it's two events.
Okay,
One's,
so Flying Tigers mission that relates to the Burma Roads, right?
Yes,
So Chinese built in 2 months or something. Last time I checked,
yeah,
the
just a
record.
few months.
Yeah, a few months for the aircraft to land to support the anti-Japanese war.
Yes,
Right. That's the Flying Tiger part.
yes.
Right. And Doolittle part is the part that bombed Tokyo after bombing.
After the Pearl Harbor
They
specific.
ended in China to Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Anhui, Shandong, or some southeast part of China.
Yes.
And the Chinese farmers rescued them, hide them.
Covered them, rescued them, even healed them. Some were wounded, and then in a secret way, helping them to get to
I
the
see.
Chinese-controlled territory in China mainland. So that's the Doolittle's mission. Even now, Doolittle's granddaughter, quite a few times when she gave some speech, she still mentioned about how much thankful to the Chinese people, those farmers in the countryside, how they sacrificed to cover those American pilots.
Let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll still digging more with the detailed stories about especially the Doolittle part. Thank you very much. So stay with us.